Welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Megan Shaw and here are your top stories on Monday the 5th of January. 2 teens killed after a tragic crash on infamous country road near Sittingbourne.
You've got to be careful around these back lanes. You know, you've got to drive to the conditions.
Pizza, ice cream and soft drinks, just some of the foods to be banned from our screens before Watershed in a bid to halt childhood obesity.
Although I think the ban is a good thing, it might be too little, too late, really.
And more than 180 million views. We meet the Tunbridge darts fan who went viral for his Ali Pally antics.
Then when you keep refreshing it, it's gone up by 50,000 views, 50,000 views, 50,000 views, 60,000 views in the space of 10 seconds.
Our top story tonight. Tributes have been left at the scene of a horror crash near Sittingbourne which claimed the lives of 2 teenagers. The accident, which happened around 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, saw a car crash near a bend. The remains of other cars from previous accidents remain on the scene, prompting a local councillor to say something needs to be done about the bend. Chloe Brewster is at the scene of the accident now to tell us more. So, Chloe, what is it like at the scene?
Yes, as you say, I'm stood at the side of Old Ferry Road now, just up from where the crash took place. And if you're not familiar with this road, it is a common journey for travellers going between Sittingbourne and Medway. Just in the background there, if you can see, that's the Sheppey crossing. So clearly a bit of a popular route here. It's a 60-mile-per-hour road and there's absolutely no streetlights. I can say, just coming up here myself, it is a pretty difficult drive. And when this incident happened on Saturday night, it was this dark and the same sort of cold temperatures. As I said, I couldn't stand where the scene was, but a reporter went down there earlier and there are plenty of floral tributes at the side of the road to commemorate the 2 people who unfortunately lost their lives here.
And Chloe, we
actually spoke to...
Oh, sorry, Chloe, I cut you off there. Can you just tell us quickly what happened on the scene?
So on Saturday evening, a small group of teenagers had been driving along the country road here, and on the bend, the vehicle, a blue Ford Fiesta, actually left the road as it went round the corner. South East Coast Ambulance Service was called at around 8:30 that night, and they also contacted Kent Police and Kent Fire and Rescue, who were also there to assist. But despite the best efforts of the officers there, the 2 occupants of the vehicle were later declared deceased. That includes a 17-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl, as well as another occupant, another 16-year-old girl, who was taken to the local hospital for treatment and has since been discharged. They're all said to be from the local area, so clearly shaking people up here. After the incident, the road was closed for several hours between the junctions of Raspberry Hill Lane and Sheppey Way as investigations continued. Earlier, local resident John Gale told our reporter all about the dangers of this road here.
Do you think this is quite a dangerous road?
Well, it is when it's slippery like this. It's icy. I mean, the car just goes from underneath you sometimes. You can feel it. I mean, you've got to be careful around these back lanes. You know, you've got to drive to the conditions. You know, really, it's a tragic situation, but you know, we've all done it when we was younger. But the ones that to tell the ones that sort of are lucky, really.
And Chloe, this isn't the only time that a crash has happened here, am I right?
Yeah, so this is one of several crashes that have happened around here, and a local resident actually just spoke to me now and said this has always been an extremely fast road, and apparently he told me that there used to be signs around, but those aren't here anymore. He says he believes there should be more support from the council and the highways team to actually improve the safety of these roads. Another person from the council actually told another reporter earlier that it's a very dangerous road and it is risking people's lives.
Thank you, Chloe. A disgruntled Raynham resident says repeated road closures have turned the narrow lane where he lives into a traffic nightmare. Francis Flynn says Pump Lane is often gridlocked, adding that in some cases people have ended up swearing and mounting his drive and over his wall to get through the road. Lower Raynham Road nearby was shut 15 times last year, with Pump Lane used by drivers as a cut-through during these periods. Mr Flynn says these repeated closures put unnecessary pressure on his road and is now seeking compensation for his damaged wall. And a Marden man who bit his girlfriend and broke her ankle during a barbecue with friends has been ordered to pay her £6,500 in compensation. Maidstone Crown Court heard how Oliver Elphick became aggressive and slapped a marshmallow from the woman's hand before grabbing her face and biting her. He blocked her path when she tried to call her mother, took hold of her shoulders and threw her to the ground, fracturing her leg. Elphick was handed a 7-month jail term, suspended for 18 months and also given a 5-year restraining order. He was told to pay the compensation as well as the prosecution costs. And a Canterbury-based fashion retailer that was placed into administration after taking thousands of orders without delivering goods or issuing refunds is unlikely to repay its customers. New papers have revealed that Hurt Limited, which traded online as Hurt.store, collapsed with debts of about £575,000, including £1,602,309 owed to almost 5,000 customers. It comes amid a Kent Online investigation into complaints that people were being left out of pocket from buying from the firm. The collapse came after the loss of a major supplier, Carhartt, which led to a drop in revenue, and an investigation is ongoing. And N2 Sweet Lab is a haven for chocolate enthusiasts in Maidstone, but now will be unable to advertise online as they always have. It comes as part of new restrictions on junk food advertising on television and online, as Maisie Walker has been finding out today.
The government have announced today that they will be introducing new regulations towards junk food advertising, as well as a complete ban online. The move is part of the government's efforts to tackle childhood obesity. From today, adverts for less healthy food and drinks are banned on television before 9 p.m. and online at all times. The new rules do, however, exempt businesses with fewer than 250 employees from the advertising restrictions, and those with fewer than 50 staff from the promotions regulations. But some businesses are still concerned.
We are a small business, so we don't really have a budget for TV advertising anyway. And the only advertising which we do sometimes, and it's not that often either, is through social media, which can affect us now with this new restriction, because that's the only the advertising which we got budget for it, basically.
I spoke to some residents in Rochester to see if they agreed with the government's move.
We've got to change the attitude of the parents from when they're very young to say, you can maybe have it on a special occasion, but not as a ready meal when you want it. It's too easily available, and it shouldn't be.
I do agree with it as such, because, yeah, I think it's a good thing. But I think there's, you know, subliminally we're already getting the advertising on all programmes, on television shows and films, so that although I think the ban is a good thing, it might be too little, too late, really.
Quite for it. I think it's proven beyond doubt that junk food is not good for you, obviously, on a variety of reasons. It's harmful. So there should be limits to, you know... how much you eat in a day. There should be limits to how much you eat in a day.
Minister for Health, Ashley Dalton, said, "We promise to do everything we can to give every child the best and healthiest start in life. By restricting adverts for junk food before 9 p.m. and banning paid adverts online, we can remove excessive exposure to unhealthy foods." The changes mark a shift in how food will be advertised throughout the county, and the effects on families, businesses and public health will be closely watched. Maisie Walker for KMTV, Rochester.
And Maisie Walker joins me now. So Maisie, this is being billed as a major step in tackling childhood obesity. So how significant is it?
Well, the government says it's a landmark move. From today, food and drink high in fat, salt and sugar, known as HFSS products, won't be allowed on TV before 9 o'clock or advertised online at any time. That covers things like fizzy drinks, chocolates, pizzas and ice cream, products seen as key drivers of childhood obesity.
And is it right in saying that this does actually go further than previous legislation?
It does. Until now, HFSS adverts were only banned where more than a quarter of the audience was under 16. This is a blanket ban, regardless of who's watching or scrolling, and the NHS figures show why the government is acting. Nearly 1 in 10 reception-age children now live with obesity, and obesity costs in the NHS are more than 11 billion a year.
And is it just junk food or fast food then that is affected?
No, some breakfast cereals, sweetened breads, even certain ready meals and sandwiches fall under the ban. It does depend on a scoring system that weighs up fat, salt and sugar content. Plain oats and most porridges are fine, but versions with added sugar or chocolate may not be.
And Maisie, you've been on the ground all day, you've been speaking to people and businesses, so tell us, how have businesses been responding?
Well, the Food and Drink Federation says manufacturers have already been working towards healthier products and claims sugar and salt levels have fallen significantly over the past decade. But marketing experts warn that rules may hit smaller companies the hardest because big brands can still advertise their logos, just not specific unhealthy products. And businesses around Kent, the local reaction has generally been that the total online ban is concerning, but trade will not be impacted at this current time. In fact, Ned, who we saw earlier, can tell you a little bit more.
Because you never know, how your business is gonna turn. So if you got big plans, that means you need to make massive changes on your business.
I'm gonna thank you and then.
And adapt your products to your restriction, I think.
Thank you, Maisie. We'll follow that story as it comes out. Now it's time for a quick break, but stay tuned, we've got plenty more to come. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Plans for a renewable energy plant on countryside land in Kent have now been submitted, with developers claiming it could power thousands of homes. The scheme will be built within the Kent Downs National Landscape, an area already facing pressure from new housing. And our reporter, Naila Mohammed, joins us in the studio now. So, Naila, what can you tell us about the plans?
So as you've mentioned, they've already been submitted, and the plans are for a new eco-friendly production waste management site, and it's in an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's the Great Coldham Farm, which is found in between Folkestone and Dover. It's a beautiful piece of land. You can see it on the screen right there. And bosses do say that the gas produced from this site will be going into the local network, going into the local area, potentially providing 7,000 homes new energy and gas that they might not have had access to before. And I know with big developments like these, there are concerns about what's going to happen to arable farming. It's going to be a bit of an eyesore. But the developers and the architects of the new plant have said that they're going to minimise loss of farmland and that it won't harm the Kent Down National Landscape.
And please do explain for the people at home and also myself, what exactly is an ADF?
So it's an anaerobic digestion facility, and that means what happens there is things like cattle fodder and straw and manure all get fed into this plant, and it gets turned into biogas, which is then upgraded and turned into gas for the local network, which, as I mentioned earlier, to send over to 7,000 homes in the area. Some of this material may come from the Great Coldham Farm himself. Other transport links may also send in material from, I think, a 12-mile radius around this area. So yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's a big project.
And we don't have too much time left, Naila, but please do tell us, have there been any reactions? And if so, could you tell us about these?
Well, there's nothing officially been recorded on the official planning site. However, the neighbouring areas of land are earmarked for 106 homes. So the villagers are concerned that, they're going to bring in traffic, it's going to bring in extra people, and it's just not what they want, and they want peace and quiet. However, the bosses and architects have said, no, we're going to keep it sustainable, we're going to keep it quiet, and one resident has even said she's not that fussed about the anaerobic site because it's a country farm, it's land, it's going to smell like that anyway. So she thinks it's just going to add to what's already a country smell.
Thank you, Naila. Now, don't forget, you can keep up to date with all your latest stories across Kent by logging on to our website, kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one about a snooker centre in Tunbridge Wells, which put out a campaign to save their building.
To some, snooker might seem like a simple game, but actually it's far more skillful and complicated than people give it credit for. And just like the game itself, one Tunbridge Wells snooker centre are trying to prove that there's more than meets the eye when it comes to their venue. The Victoria Snooker Centre could be demolished as part of redevelopment plans to the nearby Royal Victoria Place shopping centre, but locals to the snooker hall aren't happy. They've started a campaign that's now at more than 1,600 signatures to try and change the council's mind about the hall, which has a long legacy of hosting famous players and exhibition matches, but it's the local community that's said to be the best part of the Victoria Snooker Centre.
It's a second/third home for some people. The community hub that we've created are based around a lot of the leagues we've created as well. So we run a lot of our in-house leagues, which has created a social circle of 100, 150 people playing with people they never thought they would play with.
While many consider snooker a classic pub game, it's actually quite a specialist sport that needs a certain level of maintenance, space and cost to set up, which is why the centre's owners say they don't want locals to lose the Victoria.
We do see a lot of snooker clubs disappearing, and we don't want to be one of those. We do see some of them are just turning into sort of sports and social clubs, putting probably more pool tables in, which is not a problem. But in general, the general consensus of where we are is snooker, and we want to keep this as much of a snooker club as we can.
Now, if you looked around and thought this old hall is more suited to royalty than snooker, you'd actually only be half right. And that's because this hall has hosted some of the greats of the snooker world. Mark Selby, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jimmy White, to name a few. And it's that legacy that the members and owners are trying to protect here.
I was just outraged, really. This club is a thriving family business. It's been here for 30 years, and under the new owners it's done really well, especially after lockdown, because, you know, I think I'm not the only person who thought that actually I don't want my whole life to just be work and looking at my phone. I wanted something more from life and kind of a community.
A Tunbridge Wells Borough Council spokesperson said all feedback will be carefully reviewed before finalising the proposals. The council is in regular contact with the owner and their representatives, and a planning application is expected to be submitted around Easter 2026. For Martin, Liam and the 400-odd members of the club, they hope a compromise can be found soon so they can stay in the hall, keep the tables open and the lights on. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Tunbridge Wells.
And Saturday marked 214 years since Mark Isambard Brunel was commissioned to design a steam-powered sawmill at the Royal Navy Dockyard in Chatham. He designed a system that revolutionised the way timber was moved, handled and cut around the site, which has been home to the North Kent Joinery Limited since the 1980s. The historic Dockyard's Nick Ball spoke to us earlier to talk about the history of the sawmill.
So Mark Brunel came over from France during the French Revolution. He introduced the sawmills, and effectively, so they were built between 1812 and 1814, and they were steam-powered sawmills. And they were quite ingenious, really, because the timber would come into the dockyard by ship, be unloaded into what they call mast ponds. So they're huge ponds, and they'd float the timber in, and then they would be taken up from the mast ponds in a canal. So effectively, it was a canal that was constructed as part of the sawmills. The timber would be taken up through the canal and then lifted. The sawmills are a surviving example of this ingenuity that we saw particularly in the 19th century. And the Industrial Revolution, having these buildings and these places still intact really gives us an opportunity to kind of reflect on that history and get closer to it, really.
And now let's take a look at all the sports headlines from across the county with Finn McDermott.
First off, New Year's resolutions might spark new beginnings for many in Kent this week, but for Folkestone and Victor, it marks an end to their 12-game win streak. Jay Saunders' side went into the home derby off the back of an impressive run that sees them lead the Isthmian League Premier table. But their home derby against Chatham Town saw them drop points in a 2-1 clash, with Samseen Richardson and midfielder Cian Moyes scoring for the Chats. Invicta hadn't dropped a league point since their only other loss of the campaign against #United, and Saunders is hopeful they'll be able to start chalking up more wins again. We can hear more from Jay Saunders now.
I thought Chatham probably were the better side on the day. Don't think there was bundles of chances in it for either side, but they took their couple of chances when they arose. First goal, good on their part. I thought could have been avoided on ours. Second goal is just a massive errors really. Liam Smith, and then we let the cross in the box. Yeah, it was poor considering it came from our free kick. So disappointed with that side of things. But like I say, sometimes on the day I thought Chatham probably deserved it, won the midfield battle, and yeah, I thought on the day we're the better side. And sometimes you have to hold your hands up. Were we at it? Probably not. We weren't at it today. I can't say that too often about our lads, but I thought today we were slightly off it, and Chatham were on it and deserved their 3 points.
Over to Canterbury now, where the rugby side finished the year with another victory, this time against Sevenoaks, tallying up a 5-game winning run in the National League 2 East. Canterbury managed a 39-17 win at the Kent Derby, putting them in 5th place. Gary Jones and Charlie McGovern hit back after Sevenoaks earned a penalty goal and an early lead, making the scoreline a dominant 19-3 at half-time. Head coach Matt Corker said the side bringing their own energy and enthusiasm every single week has allowed them to be in a great place. He added, "I hope for people to come and play rugby, but also for us to be successful." And to cricket now, where former captain for England, Sir Alistair Cook, has said that Kent's own Zach Crawley has been the most backed player ever. The Kent opener is playing his 64th Test match for England in the final game of the Ashes series this week. Dismissed for 16 in England's first innings, Crawley's Test average sits at just 31.44, with 500s to his name. Cook said it was a hard one to judge and was likely the best player ever to average just 30. He had some praise there for Crawley's batsmanship as well. And into our next story, the winners of the Kent Tennis 2026 awards have been announced. There were plenty of different categories up for grabs. Adult Performance Player of the Year going to Bromley's Alice Gillen, who won the International Tennis Federation W15 singles title in Spain, and plenty of other athletes won as well. That's all for your sports news. See you soon.
And now it's time to take a look at the weather for the coming days. Tonight is looking cold, temperatures around -2 degrees, some high wind speeds around the coast. And into tomorrow morning, temperatures dropping to -3, sunny skies across the board, winds dropping to 5 and 8 miles per hour. And in the afternoon, temperatures rising slightly to 2 degrees, much of the same weather to be expected in a cold January. And for your outlook, Wednesday brings heavy rain, highs of 4, rising to 5 as the rain clears, then up to 6 by the end of the week. Some light rain on the horizon there. And now it's time for another break, but don't go anywhere. When we get back, we'll be speaking to Dev Biswal, the winner of not one, but 2 awards at the 10th Asian Food and Restaurant Awards. We'll also take another look at how, under new rules, adverts for less healthy food and drinks are now banned on television before 9 p.m. All that and more after the break. Thank you. and welcome to Kent Tonight, live on KMTV. I'm Megan Shaw and here are your top stories on Monday the 5th of January. 2 teens killed after a tragic crash on infamous country road near Sittingbourne.
You've got to be careful around these back lanes. You know, you've got to drive to the conditions.
Pizza, ice cream and soft drinks, just some of the foods to be banned from our screens before Watershed in a bid to halt childhood obesity.
Although I think the ban is a good thing, it might be too little, too late, really.
And more than 180 million views. We meet the Tunbridge darts fan who went viral for his Ali Pally antics.
Then when you keep refreshing it, it's gone up by 50,000 views, 50,000 views, 50,000 views, 60,000 views in the space of 10 seconds.
And our top story tonight, tributes have been left at the scene of a horror crash near Sittingbourne which claimed the lives of 2 teenagers. The accident, which happened around 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, saw a car crash near a bend. The remains of other cars from previous accidents remain on the scene, prompting a local councillor to say something needs to be done about the bend. And Chloe Brewster is at the scene of the accident now to tell us more. So, Chloe, you're joining us live there. So, can you just tell me, what is it like at the scene?
Yeah, so I'm stood at the side of Old Ferry Road now. I'm just stood up from where the crash happened, just because of safety reasons. You know, we're in the middle of nowhere here. You know, it's country roads. This road is common for drivers going between Sittingbourne and Medway. If you see just behind me there, it's a Sheppey crossing. So this is obviously a popular route, but one with not many street lights, and yeah, not much signage. Just up from where I am, obviously where the crash happened, there are lots of floral tributes. One of our reporters went down there earlier. It's clear that there's a lot of issues with this road. We spoke to a local resident earlier on today, John Gale, who told us a little bit more about those issues.
A dangerous road?
Well, it is when it's slippery like this. It's icy. I mean, the car just goes from underneath you sometimes. You can feel it. I mean, you've got to be careful around these back lanes. You know, you've got to drive to the conditions. You know, really, it's a tragic situation, but you know, we've all done it when we was younger. But the ones that are to tell the ones that sort of are lucky, really.
And Chloe, you've talked us through this before, but just again, can you just inform us on what happened?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, it was Saturday night and a group of teenagers had been driving in a vehicle which left the road just on the bend here. It was a blue Ford Fiesta, and at around 8:30, South East Coast Ambulance Service, as well as Kent Police and Kent Fire and Rescue Service were here trying to rescue the teens. Now, unfortunately, 2 of those did pass away at the scene, and another teenager, a 16-year-old girl, was also admitted to hospital, but was later discharged. They're all said to be from the local area, and it has really shaken the people here. You know, this road is quite commonly known for having collisions. One of our reporters said earlier that there were bits of vehicles on the bend that this crash happened that didn't belong to this weekend's collision. It was other collisions. So clearly, this is a repeated string of incidents.
Thank you, Chloe, for bringing us that story. And a police dog has assisted with the recovery of drugs in Folkestone, where 2 suspected dealers were arrested. At around 2 p.m. on Tuesday 30th December 2025, patrols in Hawking became suspicious of a van occupied by 2 men. After further inquiries were completed and with assistance of police dog Cloud and a handler, a bag was recovered containing multiple deals of suspected cocaine, ketamine and cannabis. A 28-year-old man from Folkestone and a 23-year-old man from Ashford were arrested in connection with supplying controlled drugs. Now, a wolf supermoon has been spotted shining above Kent over the weekend, with many photos being shared across social media. This comes as the 4th consecutive supermoon that shone over the past 4 months. Well, to figure out exactly what a wolf supermoon is and how it's come about, our reporter Kai Wei found out more.
2026 has kick-started with a full moon covering the skies and lighting up much of southern England. Many Kent residents have shared photos in awe of it because it's not just any moon, but a wolf supermoon that appeared over the weekend. I asked experienced astronomer David Rees more about what a wolf supermoon actually is and where its name came from.
There is a period, and this really covers 4 months in each year, when the moon is significantly closer to the Earth than at other times. Now that changes in terms of where it occurs during the year because of the way in which the orbit of the moon around the Earth changes naturally with time. It works a bit like a spinning top, and it thus precesses with time in terms of position. It is supposed that at this time of year, the wolf is getting very hungry, running out of game to catch and eat, so they do a lot of howling at night. So the long nights, the wolves are howling in the background, causing quite a bit of chaos. At this particular year, the full moon is actually very close, or that much closer to the Earth, about 10% closer to the Earth. So it's 20% brighter than average, and obviously a little bit bigger in the sky. So that's why it's called the supermoon.
This streak of supermoons has come to an end, but not before many people snap pictures of the spectacle gracing our skies. This footage shared on Facebook depicts the huge moon rising above some ships off the shore of Sheerness in Kent. This photo also depicts the supermoon above the iconic landmark Dover Castle. Hopefully, the next supermoons will shine just as brightly over Kent too. Kai Wei for KMTV.
Now, it isn't often you pick up one Asian food and restaurant award, never mind two. But Dev Biswal, the owner chef of 2 Canterbury restaurants, has done just that. Biswal was named National Chef of the Year, as well as his tour company picking up an accolade for culinary tourism to add to his ever-growing collection of awards. And he joins me now in the studio to talk about more. So, Dev, you've just won those 2 awards. Tell us, how does that feel?
It feels great. It feels great to be recognised, and also it's great appreciation for my team.
And what do these awards represent for your journey so far?
It's brilliant. It's always a great feeling to be recognised on a national level, and yeah, the journey goes on. You know, we are here to serve customers. Awards are just a part of the whole thing.
Can you tell us about kind of what your restaurants that there were 2 restaurants in Canterbury, is it, that you're the
Yes.
owner chef of, yeah?
Yes. So we are the Cook's Tale in Canterbury, and very recently we've opened our latest restaurant, which is called Cafe Marrakesh, which serves home-style Moroccan food.
As we can see, these are on the screen just now. Are these some clips from your, is that Cafe Marrakesh
Cafe
there,
Marrakesh,
yeah?
yes. Yes, so we try to bring very regional, very authentic food into Kent. So my Cook's Tale restaurant serves food from the east coast of India, from the state of Odisha, where I come from. Marrakesh specializes in non-commercial, home-style cooking, which is very unique, quite different.
And you mentioned that kind of Odisha cuisine there. So why was it important for you as an East Indian regional cuisine that's still relatively unfamiliar in the UK? Why was it important to showcase that in Kent?
See, we all come to this part of our journey where we try to find out who we really are. So, you know, I've done all sorts. I've done very, sort of fine dining food. I've done local Kent cuisine. But at one point in life, you go to a point where you think you must connect back to your roots. And for me, now I cook food which I've grown up eating. And that feels good. And you feel genuine doing that. It's a great feeling to showcase food which you've eaten as a child to your guests, to your customers.
And I suppose with that, in Cafe Marrakesh, that is a departure from the Indian cuisine. So what drew you to those North African flavours, and how did working with a Moroccan chef shape this new venture for you?
A few years ago, I did a culinary tour to Morocco, and I was very impressed with the food. And I also realized how similar the cuisines are, Indian and Moroccan food. Obviously, dishes have a journey, and this is something we don't learn in our day-to-day lives, even as chefs. So I fell in love with the food, and I decided to bring it back to Canterbury. So we got a Moroccan chef, we worked with her for a few years, we got the confidence, and now we've opened our cafe.
And what would be your favourite dish on the menu? What would you recommend?
In which restaurant? In
your Cafe Marrakesh.
I love the lamb tagine. It's absolutely amazing, and it's the highest selling dish. I would definitely recommend that.
And looking ahead towards the year to come, 2026. How do you hope these awards will impact East Kent as a destination for gastrotourism? You've definitely put Canterbury on the map there, and perhaps for cuisine people might not be expecting to find in Canterbury.
Yes, I think Canterbury as a location, as a city, needs more single-standing, independent, interesting restaurants, not just chains. As a lot of our cities are full of chains. And yes, and these restaurants, we need to showcase unique talent, and that's how cuisine develops. That's how an area develops. We also do gastro tours of Canterbury, where we take with tourists on a walking food tour of the city. So we need more places like the Moroccan Cafe.
And you've told us about your restaurants, but that isn't all you do, and it's not all you've been recognised for. So the Cook's Adventures has been recognised for culinary tourism. So what makes your culinary pilgrimages different from more traditional food tours? If you give us a quick rundown of that.
Yes, so it's looking at a new place or a new country through its cuisine and culture. So food is a great way of connecting with people. And I think as a world, we'll have far less problems if we all share food. So my culinary tours do exactly that. So we travel to places, we look at uncharted tours, we connect with farmers, we connect with markets, go do cookery lessons. They're great.
Thank you very much. And now it's time for another break. We'll get back. We'll be joined by Finn McDermott. We'll see you then. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all your latest stories across Kent by logging onto our website kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one of the largest Christmas markets in the South East. Canterbury Christmas Market, a little bit late, but better than never.
From mulled wine and festive treats to woolly hats and seasonal beats, this year in Canterbury, the Christmas markets have got it all. With the markets extending over sections in Whitefriars, St George's and the new section within the cathedral precincts, the total sums up to 120 hats and 172 stallholders, making Canterbury one of the largest Christmas markets in the South East and in Kent.
It fundamentally changes what the cathedral looks like this time of year. So when we came out in November, in a normal year, November is the quietest season for visitor footfall, but now we have a Christmas market. At least 500 people a day just to come and see the market, engaging with the cathedral, coming to the grounds. People that wouldn't have otherwise been a part of the cathedral story suddenly take part, and that's really encouraging and really what the cathedral's about at the moment. The tourist economy in Canterbury is what keeps all these businesses going, the cathedral included. We rely on visitor footfall, and having that part of the cathedral and part of the city working together really drives that footfall. We've seen in the last 2 or 3 years the impact of a really successful and thriving market, and it does bring a sense of sort of collectivity and unity to the city, and it helps independent businesses really grow and have a platform that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
The Christmas spirit is at an all-time high in the city of Canterbury. We've got the lights, we've got the markets, the food, and the public are loving it. I spoke to some of them to find out more.
I like them. I think they're quite nice, to be honest.
I love the Christmas market. I always make sure to go around with my friends. I go with my boyfriend. We always have a little mooch.
Well, I've been up the high street, so I've had a look around that market.
I think a lot of the shops are obviously like it's all handmade or handcrafted. People obviously put a lot of money and effort into making things. So that's why I think they are good for presents, things like that, because it's like niche little things that you can buy. You can't just go to the shops and buy them.
I like having a look around, have a look, see what if there's something that's good. If I like something, I'll get it.
But bringing the festive spirit to the town are the stallholders providing their unique gifts to buy.
I make all the wreaths myself, and we sell plants at the shop but not here. A lot of our products are fair trade as well, so we support families in India and Africa and places like that.
So handmade crafts and little trinket bits that are always good for Christmas time. So it's all hand crocheted here in Canterbury, and they are good for kids and also adults alike.
But as we enter the colder months, it's not just the Christmas cheer they need to worry about.
Did it last year and we got blown away twice. We were in the big gazebo and that got blown away in Storm Bert, and then were given a hut and then that got blown over as well. So we were very unlucky last year.
If it gets too busy, our card readers go down. They are hooked up to internet connections, so if it gets a bit too windy, everything just cuts out, and our stall gets damaged due to the wind sometimes, but it's always fun.
For those looking for the perfect gift, shopping small could be the answer. Lucy Keane for KMTV in Canterbury.
Well, from festive snow to January frost, let's take a look at the weather for the coming days. Tonight is looking cold, temperatures around -2 degrees, some high wind speeds around the coast. Into tomorrow morning, temperatures dropping to -3, sunny skies across the board, winds dropping to 5 and 8 miles per hour. In the afternoon, temperatures rising slightly to 2 degrees, much of the same weather to be expected. For your outlook, Wednesday brings heavy rain and highs of 4, rising to 5 as the rain clears, then up to 6 by the end of the week, some light rain in the horizon. And what would you do if you went massively viral without even meaning to? A Tunbridge darts fan who gained more than 150 million views online had that problem after falling down an escalator, leaving a competition. 8 years on from his video, Freddie Andrews says he doesn't regret what happened and that he accepts it as part of his past. Finn McDermott went down to Freddie's local pub in Tunbridge to find out more, but a warning, this report does show minor injury.
Once the ref has blown full time, the last try has been scored and the last dart has been thrown, the celebrations will kick off. But for one darts fan from Kent leaving the Ali Pali, his celebrations went viral.
Have you guys seen this video?
I've not seen that before.
Yes, I have. I think a couple of years back I've seen it.
Now, this video might be a bit painful to watch, but it garnered 150 million views across all platforms and has been seen by many across Kent and the country. But how does that kind of attention affect you, and what do you do with it? It's been 8 years since Freddie Andrews slid his way to fame while dressed as Bobby Moore, and I decided to meet him for a bit of darts at his local in Tunbridge to find out.
I posted it, I want to say like 15 or something, 16 hours later. And I checked it after 6 hours, it had 20,000 views, and I was like, well, that's good. 20,000 views, it's good for anyone, I'll take that. And then when you keep refreshing it, it's gone up by 50,000 views, 50,000 views, 50,000 views, 60,000 views in the space of 10 seconds. Nothing's really changed. At the start of it, maybe I might have got noticed every now and then. Come to the pub, got a free drink, didn't know who from, and stuff like that. But nothing really dramatic has changed. I'm still me, I'm still who I was 8 years ago.
Now, I'm sure many of you might be wondering what you would do if you had a video go that massively viral, hundreds of millions of views. But the issue is, if you've never had a video go that viral, you might not be sure. Some people might try and merchandise it, some people might try and make revenue off of YouTube, but for Freddie, he turned to a different idea.
I'll be honest with you, I've never sort of done a video that's gone viral before. So straight away people are like, why don't you monetise it for? And I didn't expect it to go that big. If I had done, I'd have instantly monetised it to get whatever money I can get. I was thinking of bringing out some merch, a bit of sport merch and what this, and finding like avenues down it and getting good prices, and it was just sort of, it never sort of come to shape.
Transport for London routinely advise people not to slide down the escalators, with the signs specifically there so people don't injure themselves. Luckily for Freddie, he said he wasn't too hurt and was without any pain after a few days. 8 years on from the video, Freddie says he doesn't regret what he did, and that in life you simply have to accept the past and move on. He still likes darts, but doesn't go to Ali Pali much anymore, and if he did, he probably would end up taking the stairs. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Tunbridge.
And right after this, we'll be bringing you all the latest in Kent sporting news on Invicta Sports, whether it's the latest football scores, rugby news or cricket highlights. I'm now joined by the show's producer and presenter, Finn McDermott, to tell us more about what we can expect on the show. So Finn, what can we expect on the show tonight?
Well, it's an interesting one. It's a bit football heavy, so sorry to all the rugby and cricket fans out there. But there's been a lot of interesting news over, the Christmas period and now coming into the new year. You know, it's new beginnings for a lot of people. I'm sure people are trying to do those New Year's resolutions, but the football season continues as normal. And there's an interesting part I wanted to bring up. Are you familiar with the idea of a journeyman?
I'm not, no.
So a journeyman is this idea of a football player who tends to jump around from club to club, tends to be a striker, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Andy Cole, Samuel Eto'o, players like this. And there's actually a non-league and sometimes dipping into the professional journeyman who's just retired. A very impressive career, 31 years. I believe we have some images of him we can show. Like I say, 31 years of playing. There he is. His name is Jefferson Lewis. And those on the left are all the clubs he's played for. 39 different clubs, including Margate and Gravesend. A really incredible career. So I'm going to be taking sort of a deep dive into exactly why he went to so many different clubs, how he performed, and seeing if maybe there's any Kent fans out there that can remember his time. Like I say, I think he started in the late 90s and only just finished, so a very impressive sporting career. So we're going to be doing a deep dive on him. And you touched on football there, so tell us about the football results at the weekend. Well, it's not just the weekend. There's been loads of football results from Boxing Day onwards, loads of festive fixtures to cover. I think the one that will stick in people's minds the most will be the Gillingham. Well, there have been a couple of Gillingham matches. There was a 1-1 game against Colchester United, which was made particularly memorable by the sort of scuffle at the full-time whistle, which Gareth Ainsworth has sort of tried to play down a bit, saying, oh, it's just the passion of football over spilling. Also, There was also a loss, unfortunately, away to rival Swindon Town. Fans quite disappointed at that one. The Gills have been winless for quite a few games now, only managing to see draws, and they've now dropped to 16th in the table. There's also been some football. We had a Kent derby at the weekend between Folkestone Invicta and Chatham Town. I'll delve more into that during Invicta Sport, and we should have some pictures of that match as well, where we saw Folkestone losing their 12-game winless streak. Apologies, I meant to say this is actually Tunbridge versus Dorking. Tunbridge Angels there, that's Akehurst lining up for a penalty. Unfortunate game for Akehurst. He made a big mistake in the second half that led to them losing that lead, but they did end it with a draw. So not too bad for them.
So it seems it's going to be a jam-packed show then following Kent tonight. So can you also tell us, you also get quite a lot of guests on there, from your football to your more niche sports. Tell me, who have we got coming up soon? We
always do. We always like to try some niche sports. I think I've done okay. You saw earlier in the show, I learned a bit about snooker, I learned a bit about darts, but it's tried, it's tested. It's what the people love. We've stuck to football again. We've got George Kingdon and Tony Berman. They both work for Dartford FC, who've set up over, I believe it was September last year. They held trials for a new girls' academy for Dartford. And we've been hearing about how it's going. They joined me on the sofa, joined me virtually